It's been a long simmering affair and one that just won't quit. The great love across our country for the many flavors of Southeast Asia. Much has been said about the amazing hybrid that was so successful it became a cuisine all its own. And now that high-end fine diners are pulling up in droves, bringing authentic tastes of Japan, China and Thailand to our cities, we have literally never been more spoiled for choice. And here's the good news, it promises to only get better. More and more places are popping up, each covering fresh ground, each bringing something distinctive to their diners. Take my first stop of the day, the spanking new Burma. It's a quaint little place tucked away in a small little by lane in South Mumbai's fort. And yes, it's the sort of place where you're charmed before you even get to the table.
Welcome to Burma.
What a gorgeous place.
All that you see is 4 years of research. We believe a lot in Vipassana and Buddhism.
Okay.
So the walls are specially carved out. And then you have these elements of Burma, which we've inscripted on these prayer wheels.
Yeah.
And they're right designed on that. So it's basically good luck and wish.
And from the side, do take a second to look up as well.
These umbrellas that you see are called Burmese parasols, and we imported them specially from Burma. And as everybody knows, Burma was ruled by Britishers for a very long time, so you can see the British influence even in these umbrellas.
So will these flourishes extend to the table? It seems certain. You see, as the first course comes out, you should know that they aren't just bringing Burmese food to the city, they're bringing vegetarian Burmese food. And yes, I too suspect that's a first.
My mother has lived all her life in Myanmar. So I've grown up eating Burmese food, and she's staying in Myanmar all her life. She was vegetarian, you know. So the point being, when we associate the Southeast Asian countries, we only think of non-vegetarian food delicacies, what they have to offer. But you'll be surprised that Myanmar has a big chunk of population which is vegetarian.
There's a very strong migrant Indian Marwari community in Burma, and they are vegetarian. So they have got a lot of dishes which can be done veg. The thing is that these communities have been together for so long that these have become an integrated part of the Burmese food.
And if my first taste is that of soup, I won't complain, especially since it is, believe it or not, a samosa soup. Yes, samosas that are served in a light, quite lovely broth laced with cabbage. It may sound foul, it is actually surprisingly good.
Well, again, the credit goes to the Indian migrant community. Samosas are very popular there. And then the Burmese love their soups. I mean, so they can make a soup out of anything.
I have to say, I never thought I'd see the day when I would be served samosa soup and I would be pleased about it. There is this odd moment of dissonance when you first take a bite, when you sort of have to wrap your head a little bit around it. You get used to it and it actually is lovely. The soup is just light and flavor packed, and the samosa surprisingly works well drowning in broth. Who knew? On the other hand, what I did know was that the salads would be showstoppers, though I hadn't actually counted on the range. I narrowed it down to 3. A grapefruit salad garnished with burnt onions and chili oil. It's the ideal blend of sweet, tart, hot, and just that hint of bitter. The green mango, the Tayati Toke, is equally effective. All the better for the crushed spiced peanuts at the side. And then there is this, arguably the most famous salad that Burma has to offer, the utterly lovely tea leaf one, made with fermented tea leaves, fried garlic, nuts, chilies and sesame seeds.
Tea leaf salad, originally named as lafeto. The method of making it, they do not disclose it. So it cannot be substituted or replicated anywhere around the world. So these have to be imported only from Myanmar. You'll be surprised that 80% of the tea production in Myanmar just goes in making this particular food item.
I cannot remember the last time I had this much fun at a table in the city. There is not one thing here that isn't a brand new experience for me. The white pea puree, for example, is aragra given new life thanks to the addition of coconut milk, spices and brown onions, and of course the thick Burmese naan it's served with. I am similarly impressed with the Pajo Kyao, fritters that are like the ultimate hybrid of pakoras and tempura. That star Loki, yes, the humble Loki, dunk it in the chili peanut chutney or the black bean one. I think it is fair to say that I have never ever enjoyed Loki more than I am doing right now. It's true, and then out came this, a basket full of their steamed buns, the bows filled with sweet, sticky, browned onions and chili. You almost don't miss the pork. Then there's the kauni mao, sticky rice with more of that white pea that's steamed in banana leaf and served with a sweet, comforting coconut cream. And here, at least thus far, is easily one of my favorites.
Burmese food, it's a little pungent, tangy and spicy on the spicier side. And they use a lot of oils in their food. Again, bordering India, China, Thailand. So they've got ingredients from all these three countries coming up and coming into Burma.
Together, we wanted to create an experience like a different identity. It should not be people coming in and saying that we had it something similar someplace else. We wanted everything to be afresh, something new.
And then it's time for the noodles, and there are lots of them. The Panthe street noodles, a sort of souped up, seriously satisfying chow mein. Then of course the plate that Burma is best known for, the khao soi. A creamy, coconutty, fragrant bowl of goodness. Douse it in the condiments. They use burnt garlic, crushed peanuts, coriander, spring onion, browned onions, and in an inspired move, strips of fried spring roll batter. Finally, a bowl of khao soi that does justice to its name, even though here they call it the Ono khao soi, though not for the reasons you would imagine.
Now, Ono in Burma means coconut.
Right, I'd still go with the oh yes khao soi, but that's just me. Really, celebrate, celebrate. Here's a khao soi that is a khao soi. And because clearly nailing the khao soi isn't enough, they have a dried version too, and it's arguably even better. Yes, it tastes of coconut still, it has a freer hand with the chili, and a jolly good thing that they garnish it with more onions and fried cornflakes. Have I mentioned already that I'm a fan? I think if I had to nutshell it, the thing I'm most impressed with over here is the ambition it takes to open a Burmese restaurant without meat or seafood or fish or chicken or any of the things that we associate it with. And then on top of that, to do it vegetarian, but to make it so satisfying, so playful, so good that you're halfway through the meal before you even realize it's meatless in the first place. And so I'm not surprised then that the finale, so to speak, is equally rewarding. Take the Tago Pian, coconut cream that's baked with jaggery soaked sago. There's some on top giving it a brulee-like crunch. It's great, but even better is the Burmese answer to a faluda. Chilled, sweetened coconut milk with coconut jelly, lotus leaves and sweet bread. Faluda purists, step aside. We have a new contender in town. You would probably imagine that's my cue to leave, but no, there's one more thing to sample. They specialize in teas, down to the timer so it steeps just right.
We've handpicked about 20 to 25 exquisite teas, from oolongs to green, white. We've got masala chai as well.
While that sounded good, I decided to try their light and lovely silver needle white tea, and this, their bubblegum tea. Yes, I said bubblegum tea, a tisane of strawberry and rhubarb that's best had with bubblegum just to make the flavors pop. And believe it or not, it works quite wonderfully. Kipling had said of Burma that it's unlike any land you know about, and with just a taste, I'm inclined to agree. And that then must be my cue to leave. The next stop on this particular trail takes me to Mumbai's Mathur Das Mills, and inside it sits a place called Ocha with quite an entrance and indeed quite a space. Open, sunny, with flourishes in all the right corners. It's an interesting and some would argue a necessary addition to a scene that thus far has not seen nearly enough accessible Thai food done right.
There's a lack of authentic Thai food. Right. Everything has been Indianized. Dishes don't taste the same as they do when we go to Thailand. So that's why we got Chef Pipat to cook some authentic Thai food for us.
Ocha means delicious in Thai, and as the starters arrive, it looks like there's lots in the name. So to begin then, a salad of green mango and salmon that start in toothsome. While the salmon is cured in the lime they use, it's not a ceviche, but no less tasty for it. There are scallops with the perfect sear. Best had dunked in this. Oh, so good. Seared scallops with a spicy beyond spicy sauce is the kind of alliteration I need much more of in my life. Ooh.
The Thai food is the combination of sweet, sour, and salt, and spicy. People over here, they get used to eat Thai food Indianized before. Then people not get used to the level of spicy. Yeah, when they come here, even the liver one, that's the one spicy only. Yeah, one chili. They feel spicy, and they cry about also spicy for them.
It's fine by me as I move on to the signature jerked beef. It's fried with the most delectable rub.
This actually like snack when we drink. When I go to school, I kept one rice and with this beef and run and go to school. Something very fast food.
And this was your snack? I would eat this appetizer, main course, and in between all day, every day if I could.
Vegetarians rejoice with the banana blossom fritter with their hint of spice that's very nice. Or with this, another signature plate, the Tau Hat Tod, crisp fried tofu. I confess I was more than a little suspicious. I shouldn't have been.
In the interest of full disclosure, I would admit that I wasn't ecstatic when I was nudged towards the deep fried tofu. This is one of those rare occasions where I am so happy to be proven wrong that I'm going to celebrate it with another bite.
Fun is that after a long time, here is an all-access eatery that tastes of Thailand, not the sadly abused curries that have passed for genuine for far too long. And so naturally, the perfect starting point is in fact the red curry with roast duck. And here is everything I wanted. It's creamy, it's coconutty, it's rich, it's fragrant, and no, it's not too spicy. The duck curry is actually one that's supposed to be served with a hint of sweet.
Actually, here we put tomato. We not put fruit like our country much because some might don't get used to with
grapes.
Grapes and pineapple or something that where I'm blend here. Taste everywhere. This is not like same our curry taste because my curry is like my mom curry. She teaches me a lot on this, so I bring those recipe with me.
Plus, don't use canned coconut milk. We press our own coconut milk every day.
Equally effective is the fish, the famous one that's steamed with lemon and chili and garlic. It's a delicate dish to pull off right, and theirs manages to be both pretty and precise. The four friends, asparagus, broccoli and mushroom, shiitake and wodia in this case, are fresh and crunchy in a slightly sticky but perfectly contained brown sauce. But even then, the one I was most delighted to find was this. That Thai staple, some stir-fried morning glory.
I'll tell you this, and morning glory is, well, glorious, but here's the best part. I don't actually feel as though I have been transported to Thailand, happily enough. What's even better is I actually feel as though a pocket of Thailand has been transported here. This is as tasty, as good as anything I've had over there.
Racked our brains to find good suppliers, regular suppliers of fresh vegetables for us. Local, yes.
The only mild disappointment then were the honey ribs, which were good, just not as good as everything else. The noodles more than made up for it.
Honestly, it's not like every bite has transported me absolutely to a happy place, but I'll tell you the ones that do, and they are in a staggering majority over here, nail it. Just absolutely nail it.
To finish off then, iced condensed milk and caramelized water chestnuts in a sort of Thai version of the Filipino halo halo. Cold, creamy and crunchy. What's not to love?
Thai desserts are doing very well here. We decided to keep Western desserts on our menu as well, but they barely sell compared to the Thai desserts.
It took a bite for me to understand why, so just as well then it's time for a break, and yes, there is lots coming up right after it.